We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
In the wake of the revolutionary changes in Yemen, three camps fighting it out. One, led by Yemen's new president and prime minister, they've promised to fulfill the goals of the revolution while fighting al-Qaeda and separatists at the same time. Another camp headed by former President Ali Abdullah Saleh himself. Yes, he was forced out of office, but still exercises influence behind the scenes. And in the third camp, activists who say they'll never stop protesting until the revolution is complete. So how is this struggle on so many fronts playing out? Who is winning? What is the role of outsiders, the United States, Iran and al-Qaeda? Today on Talk to Al Jazeera, two influential Yemeni citizens. The man who runs the new government, the Prime Minister Mohammed Bاسندوة, and one of his fellow revolutionaries, a woman who continues her work outside the government structure, Nobel Peace Prize winner Tawakkol Karman. November 23, 2011. In a deal brokered by the Gulf Cooperation Council, Yemen's President Ali Abdullah Saleh is out. There's a new head of government, Prime Minister Bاسندوة. He'd fought President Saleh for years. Later on, a new president is also appointed, Abdurrabba Mansour al-Hadi. He came from the other side. He'd served President Saleh as vice president. The two heading a transitional government with this goal in mind, creating a new constitution and holding elections in 2014. But will they succeed? In the south, there's the problem of al-Qaeda, fighting government forces for control of important towns. In the north, the Houthi rebels. They're Shiites that, according to the United States at least, are receiving support from the Iranians who see the separatists in the north as useful conduits to gain political influence in the region. In addition to that, there's the everyday struggle of Yemen's people. Poverty is widespread. It's especially bad in the south. The part of the country that ever since North and South Yemen were united has been in particularly bad shape. Separatists there are calling for the south to break away again. And as if that isn't enough, remember these pictures. The troops that opened fire against protesters, many of them still not brought to account. That includes the former President Saleh himself. Well, all of this is causing protesters to continue their calls for justice. So when we met the country's new Prime Minister, the first question was natural. You have a transition of power process going on in Yemen. Do you think that transition of power is meeting the aspirations of the Yemeni people?
Not fully, but it's not bad. It's helping in achieving the comprehensive change that people yearn to.
The protests are going on. What more can you do to meet their demands at this point?
Well, we cannot, respond to all their demands, but so far we have done something good, and they are happy about the government.
But if they're happy, sir, one of their demands, for example, is they want to see some people brought to justice over the killing of protesters.
Well, you know about the immunity law. You heard
yes,
about
that
it.
was part of the deal.
And I was the one who introduced that law to the parliament. And the parliament agreed.
Do you think it should be revised, though, since the protests are going on?
That immunity will not, be applied to all. It's only limited.
It seems the protesters want the former president, though, Ali Abdullah Saleh, to face justice. Is that something that you could ever consider under your administration?
Well, we are bound, to abide by the GCC initiative and by the mechanism.
So that is out of the question?
Nothing happens if he doesn't do anything. I don't think it will be possible, to lift up the immunity.
But can former President Saleh still influence the country? It's not a theoretical question. In fact, his son and one of his nephews still hold high military positions. Is the former president still in control of your country?
No, I don't think so. He has got some forces, he has got a lot of money, of course. But that does not mean that he is in control. They can create for us some problems, but they cannot, change the situation, because the whole world is behind the GCC initiative and the executive mechanism.
Does he have still too much political influence, though, that perhaps you'd like to see reduced? Some say he pulls the strings through his relatives, which are still in powerful positions. He pulls the strings behind the scenes.
They are still controlling some military units, but that does not mean that the people are with them.
Will there be further moves then, since, as you said, he still controls some of the military units? Will there be further moves to remove some of his relatives, some of his allies out of those units?
I can't answer this question because it depends on the president of the new president of the republic. He can take any decision, he can issue any decree whenever he wants, and the whole world will support him. And this is definitely like last time. I also signed those decrees with him as Prime Minister.
Right, and since you signed the decrees, I'm interested in knowing your feeling, even if it's not your decision. Do you think Yemen really needs to remove people like the son and the nephew of Ali Abdullah Saleh from some of these powerful military units?
Well, first we have to start restructuring the army and the security forces. When we go to that stage, I think there will be changes. Some military leaders will have to move to other units. They shouldn't stay as commanders of their units as before. You know, some people are controlling some units for 25, 30 years. It's too much.
So later on, you think people like his son and nephew should be removed?
Well, that will come. They have to be ready to accept that, whether they like or not.
But does the whole world, as the Prime Minister puts it, accept the current agreement, including the immunity deal for the former president? When I spoke to the Prime Minister, Mohammed Bاسندوة, he said Ali Abdullah Saleh is not going to face court. How do you feel about that?
Did he say that?
Yes.
He's wrong. I think he's wrong because...
well, that's the terms of the agreement that brought him out of power. Why is he wrong?
It's the agreement that the political parties, they did, but people, they refused that.
So are you going to change that agreement? Can you change that agreement?
Of course, and not just we. I think all the international community, it's their responsible to refuse that, because that's something against human rights. That's something against anti-corruption values, against anti-corruption treatments, international anti-corruption treatments. These people, they killed people in the streets, and how did they give them forgiven? This is one of the mistakes that the political parties did when they signed to the Gulf Initiative. When you give somebody immunity or forgiven, especially if he is in the political life, you have to tell him that he has to leave the power. Ali Saleh and his people, they didn't leave power. Most of the Ali Saleh people, they are now in the power and they have immunity.
What do you make, and what do the protesters make of the new president and the Prime Minister? Are you confident that they are sincere people who will try to achieve the values and goals of your revolution?
Yes, we support them, and we're confident that they are with us. But we're confident in ourselves more than them, because without us they will not do anything, because the power now is with Ali Saleh family, because they lead the army and security forces. We are looking for transitional justice.
What do you mean by transitional justice?
It's the right of the victim to know the truth.
Outside the goal of transitional justice, there's the problem of creating peace. Many fear the new government has an almost impossible job. But when we asked the Prime Minister about this, he told us a story.
I'll just tell you a joke. I mean, Churchill met his Irish counterpart at one time after the World War, Second World War, and he was talking to him about the situation in the United Kingdom. Churchill said to his Irish counterpart that the situation in the United Kingdom is serious but not hopeless. His Irish counterpart said to Churchill that the situation in Ireland is hopeless but not serious.
But I guess then you don't agree with those who have been talking for a while, haven't they, about the possibility of a breakdown in Yemen. Is civil war inevitable?
No, it's not inevitable. We can avoid that, definitely. We can evade that.
Let's talk a little bit about al-Qaeda. Are they making a comeback in places like Abyan?
Well, they are there in Abyan and some other places, but I don't think they can rule Yemen. It's rather difficult for them. Huh?
Maybe they can carve out an area for themselves. That seems to be what their latest attacks are aimed at.
I don't think they can control any area in Yemen forever. Yemen is quite different than Afghanistan.
Can you crush al-Qaeda?
Well, we will try, to let them give up their, struggle and join others if they are ready to join, even to participate in the comprehensive national dialogue. But they have stopped all their activities. We are against terrorism. We don't want Yemen to be another Afghanistan, or another Somalia. This is definite.
But that's exactly what the former President Saleh wants, at least according to Tawakkol Karman. She says al-Qaeda is just a tool of the former president.
He used al-Qaeda for make instability in the south. He used also the army forces movements in Yemen. He made many problems in Yemen, but we don't care about all his problems. We know that it's just time, and we are continuing our struggle, and he will be accountable soon.
Why do you think the former president wants to keep Yemen unstable today?
He promised that if he will leave the power, that he will make Yemen will be Somalia. And he promised that Yemen will enter to the civil war. And
so you think he's trying to prove that he was right, that Yemen can't survive without him?
He's trying to do that, and this is the only promise that he will implement. He didn't implement all the promises for progress Yemen in all his life, but when he promised for something against Yemen, he do it.
On the role of outside interference in Yemen, well, things get even more murky. Neither Ms. Karman nor the Prime Minister himself seem to know or be willing to admit whether the United States continues military activities in the country. You've received a lot of support from the United States, haven't you?
No, we haven't. I don't think we have received anything. This support was given to the old regime.
So under the new transitional
not so far, no.
authorities?
Nothing.
Is the United States, allow me to ask you, is the US carrying out, for example, any operations on Yemeni soil, any drone attacks?
Well, I'm not aware of that, because this does not concern me as a civilian.
Sir, but you're the Prime Minister of Yemen. Surely you should be aware of who's carrying out activities in your country.
This goes under the authority of the President and other military leaders. It's not under my control.
But you're not even aware of what the United States are doing, even if it's not your decision? Surely you're aware whether the United States...
I'm not aware of that at all. I'm not aware of that.
What is your understanding, for example, about the killing of Anwar al-Awlaqi? According to WikiLeaks, they say...
I heard about it, and I knew before that, not officially, I knew from others that they were tracing Anwar al-Awlaqi. He was killed, his son was killed too.
Was he killed by the US forces, though, or was he killed by Yemeni forces? There seems to be some suggestions, at least through WikiLeaks, that he was killed by the Americans, and the Yemenis said, we'll own up and take responsibility for this.
You better address this question to a military commander, I think. Not to me, I have no accurate information about it.
What would you say, sir, to viewers who might find it surprising that some of the civilian leaders like yourself in Yemen are apparently not aware and not in control of very serious aspects of Yemen's foreign policy, military policy? Who is in control of Yemen then, if not the civilians?
You know, this sort of arrangement was there from before, not from now, I mean.
I guess I would have to ask you, after speaking to the Prime Minister, why are Yemenis apparently hesitant to talk about what a foreign power may or may not be doing in their country?
No, I don't think that. We are so transparent. We are so clear that we are... But
I'm asking you, do you think America is carrying out drone attacks in Yemen today? Yes or no?
I don't know, but as I told you, that we welcome any kind of partnership on fighting corruption, on fighting terrorists, on building our country, on reconciliation, restructure the army, in everywhere, not just with American, but also we say the same phrases, that fighting al-Qaeda is something very important to Yemeni people. I told the American people that you have to trust Yemeni people, and you will see that.
When we ask the Prime Minister about his ability to keep his nation together, he gets increasingly and visibly irritated. How do you see the fight against Houthi rebels in the north, if we could shift to another front?
You shouldn't ask me all these questions. Don't drag me. We want to resolve our problems in Yemen. Don't, let me say something that will aggravate our problems. I want to say something that will help in achieving national reconciliation.
Okay, let's talk about national reconciliation then with the situation in the north. What is the government doing in terms of national reconciliation in the north?
We are doing our best. We are trying to convince everybody to participate in a national dialogue process. And the reaction, the response is positive so far, not bad. So many parties, so many factions are willing to participate.
Do you see the hand of Iran in the disturbances in the north? Do you see that Iran is playing a role there?
We have no strong relations with Iran, and we won't allow Iran or any other country to interfere in our own affairs.
But do you...
Thank you very much. This is enough. This is enough. I don't think لأنه بيني وبينك كلام حوثيين قاعدة نحن ايش نصلح بلدنا أنت تدخلنا في كلام.
For Ms. Karman, although she's convinced the country's new leadership is trying to do the right thing, she says she won't be silent until a new constitution is established and the government delivers on its promises.
We will not leave the squares until we achieve all our goals. We see that it's opportunity of new Yemen, and we will not gain like this opportunity. We will build new Yemen inside these squares. It's now we have 2 years, and this is a good years for a strong pacement, for a good pacement. So we will not leave it. And they are talking about they will convince the revolutionaries to leave the squares. We tell them no, don't try. We will stay here until we guarantee the new constitution.
Many viewers might ask, wasn't it difficult for a young lady in particular in Yemen to turn herself into an activist, to be out there in the streets?
If you decide to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, you will succeed. We saw the crisis, wars, poverty, al-Qaeda, disease, everything. So I can't just cede to my country. And we decided to don't listen to anybody tell us stop. No, we went in the first step and we are continuing our winning in the second steps, not just in Yemen, in all Arab countries, and not just in all Arab countries, it's on all over the world. For the people who are looking for the freedom and dignity, we gave a good sample that people just must not just see the obstacles around them. They will succeed even if they face a lot of problems around them.
Tawakkol Karman, thanks so much for talking to Al Jazeera. It's been fascinating.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much.